Hi friends, welcome to Power to the Flower. My name is Kara and I'm the owner of Power to the Flower. Power to the Flower is a design company that designs pots, containers, as well as small landscape spaces. And today I wanted to talk to you about two things. One is dahlias, and the second one is the importance of fertilizer in your container. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is this blue pot, and you might recognize it from a video I recently posted about how to design a colored container. And so in this container we have a calibrachoa of this orange color, a lemon coral sedum that's now blooming, two diamond frost euphorbias, and also a bright lights double moon glow. And then I had in the back a brown grass called Jack Sprat New Zealand flax. And although I feel like it would be great, it grows to about 2 feet tall, and if we waited, it would be the perfect thriller in the back of this pot. But in our area, COVID-19 has affected a lot of the nurseries, and one of them recently reopened, Orchard in Lafayette, and I was there the other day for the first time in months, and they had so many beautiful dahlias, I could not stop myself from purchasing them. So I brought this guy home, and he is called Happy Single Flame, and I think in the dahlia world, it's referred to as the HS series, Happy Single, because dahlias can be of a variety of shapes in terms of their flower blooms. And this is a one-dimensional, flat, overlapping, single layer of petals. And so that's why it's called Happy Single Flame. Flame being this variety of color. So anyways, it just seemed so perfect to replace the Jack Sprat, which was a brown grass, and this is a black, almost black, dark green leafed dahlia with this amazing flower. I fell in love with it instantly. Plus, do you see all these blooms in here? This dahlia grows to about 2 to 3 feet high and 1 to 2 feet wide. It's hardy down to zone 8. We're in zone 9 here in the East Bay of California, and so this should be able to winter over just fine in our outdoor winters. But if you're from a lower winter, a colder wintering area, you can save the bulbs, and there's lots of websites out there that can tell you about how to do that. So anyways, I just wanted to talk about this because I'm not very familiar with dahlias, I'll be honest, and I don't see a lot of them growing in our area, and so I thought that it would be fun to go for it in containers since I love containers so much. And I was very much inspired by someone on Instagram that if you're interested in dahlias, you might want to follow her. She's called at Scarlet and Joy, and she talks about dahlias all the time, and she clearly has tons of experience. She grows them in her backyard. She has tons of different varieties, and so I went to her at the beginning and said, what's your top tips for growing them in our area? And she sent me to some websites, and after a little bit of research and some trials, what I found about dahlias thus far is that if I water it every day, it's happy. And I have another one, I'll show it to you, that I planted maybe in February. It was like right when the dahlias started coming out, and I grabbed some at Home Depot because I thought, let's just try these. And they flowered like this, and then once they bloomed once, all the blooms bloomed one time, then they stopped reblooming. And then it kind of just stayed as a green plant for a number of weeks, and it wasn't looking so good. So I started giving it more water, and slowly it's come back, and it's been really warm here over the last few weeks, and so I think it just needs a lot of water. The other thing that I did with all of my dahlias is I put compost in the bottom of their holes, their plant holes, and so they have kind of a little slurry of extra yummies in there for them, which I think they are benefiting from very much. So I'm excited to show you these dahlias and how they fare for me over the summer. What I have read is that they are full sun plants but they might enjoy some afternoon shade in hot regions. So we'll have to see how mine do. I have all of mine in containers so I can move them. So that's great. The other thing I wanted to talk about is fertilizer and how important it is to give fertilizer to your containers. Containers do not have a very large reservoir when it comes to nutrients, and all of these are, well, they're either perennials that we treat like annuals or they're annuals. And so what that means is they bloom and they give off a lot for you during this growing season, and so they really need a lot of nutrients. And the fertilizer that I want to recommend is called Maxi Bloom. Let me get it for you. I would say probably any fertilizer is better than none. I know a lot of people use Miracle Grow, which I have no problems with. I've used that myself. I would like to say, though, that there's a difference between fertilizers, and with plants that you're growing for blooms, you really need to use a blooming specialized fertilizer, in my experience. So the one that I use and would like to recommend is called Maxi Bloom, and it looks like this. And the fertilizer composition is 3-20-20. 3 is the amount of nitrogen in the mixture, and 3 very, very low. And that's great because that gives a little bit of nitrogen for the green in your plants, but the high numbers, 20-20, are the phosphorus and potassium, and that's what your plants need for blooms. So I have had so much luck with this. It is organic. It's called Seaweed Brand Plant Food Micronutrients. So it comes from a mixture of seaweed and I think kelp and stuff from the ocean, which I also like using. If you can buy it on Amazon, you can buy it at your local nursery. You can buy it probably lots of places. I sell them for $25 for this size of 1.5 pounds. If you live locally, you can just text me and I can leave it out for you. I take Venmo. It is so great. So I want to talk about this because you see that this double moon glow, Bright Lights Moon Glow, isn't blooming at the moment. It's totally out of blooms. And when that happens, then I give it some of this mixed in with my water in my watering can, and within a week it will have new buds and blooms coming out on it. It's really an amazing product. And I don't work for them. They don't support me. They don't even know who I am. But when I get a great product, I want to tell other people about it. So I will be using this in my containers this season every 2 weeks, if not every week. So on Sundays, I start filling my watering cans up, each with 1 scoop of this bloom food, and then I fill the watering can up to the top, and I just water as normal with all of my containers, and they love it. So the other one that Maxi sells is an all-purpose formula, which is 16-16-16, and I know that there's a lot of other all-purpose formulas out there, and some people have a lot of luck with them. I think that using them in my containers, the plants do best with the bloom food. Although if I have a lot of foliage in a container without a lot of blooms, so for instance, if I'm using like a ton of coleus or just leafy plants that are taking the show instead of bloom plants, then I will use this all-purpose in my containers instead of the bloom. Don't waste the bloom food on the plants that don't bloom, but go ahead and give them food. They need food if they're going to do their best for you. A lot of people think, oh no, I'm not very good at plants and I don't have a green thumb. Well, it might be that you haven't been using fertilizer. So use some fertilizer, make your plants happy, and they will perform for you. I'm going to say goodbye now. Thanks so much for joining me. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Power to the Flower. See you next time. Bye.